Hi Yogi, welcome to class today. If you are watching this, you are most likely pregnant. I'm actually filming this for my best friend Kara, who is due in just a couple weeks, and third trimester. You're feeling full. And what we're going to work on today is just opening the hips for some labor prep. I'm going to have a block with me. I do encourage you to have a block if you have one. I'll let you know when I would use it. You might not need it, but I think especially in your third trimester, it's smart just to practice with them if you have them. And if you don't, grab like a cushion, a thick cushion or some kind, just for some support. And that is it. Let's go ahead and come into a seated position. What we're doing today is a lot of stuff that I did and some stuff that I didn't do, but I wish I could have done. But I had a weird condition called symphysis pubis disorder. Yes, that's it. So my hips, actually, a lot of the stuff didn't even feel good for me. So I just encourage you to, listen to your own body, obviously get permission from your doctor to do prenatal yoga. And if something doesn't feel good, just don't do it, right? This is so personal and everyone's journey is so different. So please do you and just be mindful, do what feels right for you and baby today. All right, so let's go ahead and come into a seat. Cross your legs, sit on your block or your cushion, just for some extra support. Take your shoulders up by your ears, and let's just go ahead and relax the shoulders for a moment. Close your eyes. And go ahead and take a deep breath in through your nose. Nice audible exhale out your mouth. Good. Maybe another one like that. Deep breath in. Let it go. One more time, really breathing into all of your ribs and filling up your lungs. Let go completely. Good. And bring your awareness into your breath, and we'll begin by just engaging the pelvic floor area and relaxing the pelvic floor area with the breath. So as you inhale, I want you to completely soften your pelvic floor, almost as if you're pushing out, like if you're going to use the bathroom. So you're going to inhale and just completely relax, almost with a little pressure downwards as you fill up through your lungs and your ribs. My words will come out eventually. And then as you exhale, you'll lift up through the pelvic floor and the lower abdomen, as if you're kind of like hugging baby. You're lifting baby up, right? So I know that your abs are an interesting word right now because you can't really find your abs, but it is that sensation of just kind of giving your baby a hug with those transverse abdominals. Inhale, you completely relax your pelvic floor, and exhale, you lift. And this kind of breath work is so important to practice as you go into your third trimester, and as you get closer to labor. We want strong pelvic floor muscles, but we also want them to be able to soften. That's how baby exits. So make sure you're finding both the engagement and the complete relaxation. And then simply start to move your body with your breath. So as you inhale, kind of tilt forward just slightly onto your sitting bones. Lift your heart up high as you squeeze your scapulas together behind you. Completely relax that pelvic floor. And then as you exhale, slide your tailbone down towards the ground as you lift baby up. Maybe take your chin to chest slightly, engaging those transverse abdominals. And then again, inhale, lift up. Try not to arch your lower back. You already have enough pressure on that lower back area, so you're just finding a little extension. And then exhale, you round and hug baby in. Inhale, Elongate. Exhale, hug baby in. One more time. Inhale, soften your pelvic floor, lift your heart. Exhale, round. Good. And you can just start to find little circles around your hips. So just moving in any way. You can keep your eyes closed or you can blink them open at this point. If you feel super restricted, it's fine. You don't have to have huge movements here. Just do what feels good. Just be sensitive that you're not overarching that lower back at any point. Keep trying to allow the hips to fall out and down. Go the opposite direction. Just creating some space for baby today, and hopefully eventually by all this hip opening we're going to help baby kind of move down into the pelvis, which is the end goal. All right, come back up. Go ahead and take your arms out to the side, and then take a nice big breath in. Reach down through your sitting bones, reach your arms up, up, up. Good. And then from here, just go ahead and float your left fingertips down towards the mat. You can walk them out slightly or not. Reach up through your right arm, turn your chest slightly open towards the right as you press your right hip down into the block. Okay. One more big, big stretch. And as you exhale, you'll take your right hand to the inner right thigh, bring your torso back up to neutral, and just take a little twist to the left. And you can walk that left hand back further if you'd like. Notice how we're not doing a cross-body twist here. We're just keeping that right arm on that inner right thigh. And see if you can bring your breath just into your back body slightly. Again, just making some space in your torso. You probably feel like there's no space in there. At least I did. Good. And then gently make your way back into center. Inhale as you reach your arms up. And exhale, take your right hand down, reach up through your left arm, take that little bit of a side bend. Rooting down through your left hip bone, take that left shoulder back. I loved all things to do with side body stretching. Let's take the gentle twist, take your left hand inside that left leg, sit up nice and tall, and just gently rotate towards your right knee. So you don't want to twist, right, when we're pregnant, especially this pregnant, because there's just no room. You don't want to constrict your baby any more than you need to, or they already are. But it does feel good, right? At least it did for me to have a little bit of a rotation. Okay, go ahead and come back into center. Release your block. And let's just take the legs out in front of us. So take your feet out in line with your knees. All right, and then take your hands behind you. Gently puff up your heart just a little bit. Find a nice chest opening here as you hug your elbows in behind you. And then from here, just gently drop your knees from one side to the other. Okay, so what we're doing here is opening one hip externally as the other one rotates internally. And when we come into labor, we want to open the hips externally. The top of the pelvis will open so that the baby can move down further into the pelvis. But then in order to come out, we have to open the bottom of the pelvis, and that's internal rotation. I'll try to let you guys feel that in a moment. All right, so next time your knees fall to the left, let's go ahead and just take a little bit of a twist to the left. So we're gonna let that right knee kind of point towards the top of our mat here, and just rotate your body towards the back of the mat. By no means should you end up facing all the way behind you, but just in that direction. And if it feels like it's too much to have your right hand on your left thigh. You can just keep your right hand inside that leg if that feels better. Try to sit up nice and tall. Good. Big breath in. Big breath out. Good. Make your way back through to center. We'll come right over to the other side. Sitting up nice and tall, find that rotation again towards the back of your mat, but we're not twisting, we're not pushing anything here. We're really working on this left hip, right? Internal rotation of that left leg. When it comes to being in labor, pretty much everything we're doing right now, you can do while you're in labor to just help baby continue to move down. Internal rotation you wouldn't want to do until much later. Basically like when you're pushing, you internally rotate. Okay, nice you guys. And then from here we're going to make our way up to all fours. So however you can get there, easiestly, go ahead and make your way there. And we're just gonna do this one exercise real quick before we come up for a couple more things. Take your knees wide, your feet together. And what we wanna feel here is that you press your hips back, and you should feel kind of like the top of your hip bones are opening, right? When you move from a neutral position to knees wide, that external rotation, we make room in the top of our pelvis. So you're just gonna push your hips back, and then come forward. And push back and come forward. And this is just good to do every single day, right? You don't have to spend a whole class on it, but it is good, especially at the very end of your pregnancy, to continue this kind of hip work so that when the time comes, your body just remembers, it knows exactly what to do. Okay, and then from here, come back up to center, and we'll take the knees a little bit further in, and the feet are gonna come wider than the knees. Don't take your knees all the way together, because there will be no room for your baby. But knees maybe hip distance apart, maybe slightly wider, and feet wider than your knees. Press your toenails into the ground, and then slowly just slide your hips back. So of course you shouldn't go all the way back here, but you should feel that internal rotation of the hip is going to make your sitting bones, those bones right on the base of your bum, to kind of spread out. And you can really feel that when you bring your hips back like this. So come forward and then come back. You should have no knee pain, right? So we're not going so far that we're twerking our knees at all. If your knees are sensitive, that happens when you're pregnant, you can take a towel underneath your knees or double up your mat. Just rocking forward and backwards again. So when it comes to pushing time, a lot of women actually give birth on their hands and knees. And rather than bringing the knees wide and the legs out, right, we actually would want to find a stance just like this to have our baby. So you think slight internal rotation. Doesn't have to be drastic, just feet slightly wider than the knees. And that's, again, when you're pushing, not when you're in early stages of labor. All right, beautiful. Go ahead and come back up to center, ground your hands, tuck your toes, lift those hips. Let's find a down dog. And this probably feels nice. Just press down into the ground. See how long you can make your torso, lifting those hips up or away from your ribs. Deep breath in. Let it out. Good. And then take your right leg up. We'll take our right knee out towards our right elbow and step your right foot outside your right hand. Lower your back knee to the ground. Keep those toes tucked for now, just for that extra engagement. And go ahead and reach up, Anjaneyasana. And we're gonna want our block handy for this, you guys. So when you're pregnant, your fingers are probably gonna go numb if you leave them up here for too long. So hands to hips, or if you get any kind of dizziness when you exercise, keep your hands to your hips. Okay, allow there to be some depth in the front thigh, but keep really hugging those inner thighs together. And just allow the front of your left hip to melt down. Take one more big breath in. Good. Okay, and from here, we're gonna pivot on our back knee. Okay, so if you have your block nearby, you can just have your hand on it for some stability and rotate your back shin so that it's parallel to the back of your mat. And if that feels like, if your knee is sensitive, come down, then come back up. We're gonna come into a modified warrior two. So we've got our back shin down, right knee points forward. Take your arms out, lengthen through your fingertips, slide a little bit further into that right knee, and you should feel, right again, we have this external rotation in the right hip right now, okay? So that kind of rotation is when we want baby to move down to the pelvis. Good. Maybe kind of slide forward and lift up a little bit. You can kind of pulse the hips up and down slightly. Go ahead, and we'll reverse this. So just take a big breath in, stretch your right arm up. Your left hand can land down by your left thigh. Keep lifting up. We're not collapsing in that left waist. Take one more breath in. And as you exhale, take your right hand down to a block or maybe even to the ground if you're super mobile. We'll take our left arm up, maybe overhead, but same thing if you experience any dizziness or you get numb in that left arm, just take your hand to your hip, really work on pulling your left shoulder back. Press your right arm into that right inner thigh. Big inhale. And then exhale, you'll look down at your right foot. We're gonna make our way onto our hands here. So both hands are gonna come down inside the right foot. You can have your hands on blocks or you can stay as is. And then we're gonna do the same thing. Just sort of bring your hips forward and backwards a couple times. Okay, really opening up through the back of the right hip, hamstring area and groin. This is actually a great exercise to do while you're in labor to get baby to sort of move down, especially sometimes baby gets slightly stuck and your doulas or midwives will probably know if they're a little wedged somewhere, you're gonna wanna get them to move, to keep moving down. This is a really good way to do that. Okay, and then let's go ahead and shift out of this back to our down dog. So your left leg will just come back towards the back of your mat, ground your hands, step your right foot back. Deep breath in, deep breath out. And one more time, inhale, and exhale. Okay, and take your left leg up. Pull your left knee to your outer left arm and step your left foot outside your left hand. Lower your back knee down. We'll find Anjaneyasana once again, so have your block handy for that knee pivot if you need it. So same thing, if you're wanting to reach your arms up, go for it. Otherwise, hands to hips. Find that inner thigh hug, okay? You're really squeezing the feet towards one another, broadening through the collarbones. And just allow the front of your hip to soften here, but when we're pregnant, our body produces a lot of relaxin, so we don't want to overstretch anything, right? We want a lot of integrity in the muscles. Let's go ahead and open up into that open arm warrior two. So again, if you need to put your hands down to find that rotation on the back leg, do it. Your foot will come over towards the left side of your mat, arms move forward and backwards. So lift baby up here, and then squeeze your scapulas together, get broad through your chest. Just start to slide into your front thigh. And again, you can find a little bit of a pulse if you'd like. Working that left hip open. You're finding engagement in that outer left glute. So if you're lifting your inner thigh up and your outer thigh rolls down. Go ahead and reverse your warrior. Take your left arm up. Good, deep inhale. And as you exhale, extended side angle, right arm comes up towards the sky, left hand can come to the ground or your block, or you can take your elbow to your thigh. A big stretch through your right hand as you root down through your back foot and shin. Nice, and then slowly release. Both hands will come down inside your left foot. And then same thing if you want to find a little bit of a pulse. Right, we're just opening up that left hip still. I have a wrist injury that comes postpartum. Hopefully you guys don't get this. If you start to have any wrist or thumb pain when you're postpartum, especially when your baby gets a little heavier, don't ignore it. Get yourself a brace because it will get bad. It doesn't get better on its own. Okay, let's go ahead and make our way back to our down dog. We're almost finished here. Nice big inhale. Big exhale. And walk your feet just wide, so they're about mat distance apart. Then walk your hands back towards your feet, just finding a nice fold here. Nice strong legs though, so engage your legs, squeezing your feet towards the center line, lifting those kneecaps gently without locking out your knees. Inhale, halfway lift, and as you do so, I want you to point your toes out slightly and your heels in. And I'm sorry, you're gonna want that block or that cushion with you. We're gonna come down into a yogi squat and sit on that block. If you're in your third trimester right now, definitely sit on something. Otherwise, it's gonna be a lot of pressure. We just don't need any extra pressure right now. So sit on your block. You can take those elbows towards the inner thighs and just kind of rock a little bit. Side to side again with the hip opening, getting baby to move down into the pelvis, hopefully, or in hopes, at least with me, I was always like, maybe we'll go into labor soon. You kind of hit that point where you're like so ready, you know? I feel like that has to happen, otherwise we probably would never feel ready, at least first-time moms, I think. There's always something left to do. And then baby comes and none of that's really important anyways. All right, go ahead and come back into center. We're gonna come back into the fold. So as you come into the fold, you can point those toes forward. Just leave your block as it is. Halfway lift as you inhale. As you exhale, fold again. And as you fold, bend your knees a little bit. Take your hands to your hips. And I want you to come up with a nice strong spine. So root down through your feet, flat back. You come all the way up to standing. Inhale, stretch the arms up. And as you exhale, come right back down into a fold. Arms come wide. Inhale, halfway lift. As you halfway lift, point your toes out, heels in. Exhale, lower your hips down to the block. Inhale, hands to heart. Open up those knees wide. Exhale, ground your hands, find the fold, pivot your toes forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold, hands to hips. Inhale, strong spine, come all the way to standing, squeeze those upper back muscles. All the way up, reach tall. Exhale, fold forward. Halfway lift, breathe in. Point your heels in, toes out. Exhale, lower hips down to the block. Inhale, hands to heart, knees wide. Exhale, fold forward, point your toes forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Hands to hips as you fold down. Inhale, strong spine, stand tall, reach all the way up. Exhale, bow forward. Let's go one more time. Inhale, halfway lift. Heels in, toes out. Exhale, lower your butt right down onto the block. Hands to heart, lift your chest. Exhale, palms down, toes point forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Hands to hips as you fold forward. Inhale, rise tall, strong spine, reach up. And exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Good. Just pause here for a moment. Go ahead and take your feet directly underneath your hips. Good. And take a second, maybe placing your hands on your body, actually both on your belly, both hands on your belly. Take a moment to connect. Know that it's okay if you haven't quite felt, right, any kind of like knowing or connection or I know who exactly this baby is going to be type emotion, because you will know your baby so well, and know that in this moment, right, your baby feels your hands, they feel your breath, they hear your breath. They probably are enjoying the movement and enjoying the endorphins that you're experiencing. And it's all bonding, right, already. And take a moment to either silently or out loud just tell them you love them. You can't wait to meet them and see who they are as a person. And let's move forward throughout just the rest of this journey with so much gratitude, so much love, and trust. Namaste. Namaste. Namaste, Kara. Good job, you guys. I hope you found that helpful. Any kind of that hip opening or external rotation or internal rotation, there's so many different yoga moves that do that kind of work. So it's all good. A lot of, ball hip circles, amazing for that. Pelvic tilts, kind of like swaying your hips side to side. It's all so good. So just keep your body moving. Make sure you're working on strength stuff and also endurance. Do those wall sits, kind of challenge yourself to get uncomfortable because that's labor. and yeah, just know that you're gonna be fine. Baby's gonna be great. Everything's gonna be totally different in a matter of weeks or months in the best way possible. Mwah.